We are so back, baby. The Brickyard 400 is back in 2024. According to Adam Stern, IMS confirmed that the Brickyard 400 will return to the Oval in 2024, and Ben Kennedy had said that the history of motorsports permeates throughout IMS, so we can look forward to celebrating the 30th anniversary of NASCAR at the Brickyard with a NASCAR Cup Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Now, based on what it's looking like, the race would be on July 21st of next year, which would probably put it as the last race leading into what is assumed to be a 2-week, or maybe even more, Olympic break for NASCAR and pretty much all of motorsports next season. And I'm going to say this, I do think this is kind of a missed opportunity, and I think this is a product of NASCAR having to put this stuff together last minute, but I think that this should have probably been after the Olympics. One, to space out the schedule a bit when it comes to big events, but two, you could probably use the Olympics, which apparently a lot of people watch, to go and basically market this race to a wider audience, maybe some who have left the sport or maybe just left the event because it was at the road course, and maybe get more people reached in the way you did with Chicago. It's not necessarily going to be a win, it's not a guarantee by any means, but it's something that I think should have probably been done. But I will say I think they got the next best option with the schedule if it lines up the way that many of us either think it will or hope it will. What do I mean by this? Well, it's 2 races after the confirmed Chicago street course race. And I think this could be a very big stretch of races for NASCAR that could set them up well going into really the money time of 2024. So there's Chicago. That might be right after, if it's like this year, Nashville, which was a pretty good ratings hit on a Sunday night on Big NBC. Then, maybe if it's again like it is this year, you have Atlanta on a Sunday night on USA, and if you're able to run the full race like you more than likely will be able to do, you're looking at a great amount of momentum for NBC starting their part of the schedule heading into the Brickyard, meaning that they might, heading into what will be the last year of this contract leading into the next one, have a lot of momentum to sell a lot of good things for sponsors and a lot of momentum also to try new things going into the next deal. I think that this is a big stretch of races for NASCAR if it ends up turning out this way, and I think that it's something fans are going to be really excited for and be clamoring for more NASCAR heading into that Olympic break. Why do I say this? Well, fans seem to be on board based on the social media response, as well as how many people for weeks, months, sometimes for some of us, years have been asking to bring the Brickyard back. It seems like NASCAR is listening. NASCAR has made some mistakes, or at least has dropped the ball with different things on the schedule lately, but this is not one of them. Now, it might not be something that a lot of fans at home are really clamoring for, though, on the other end of the argument, but you cannot deny that when the majority, or at least the loud majority, talks about it, NASCAR does listen. And it's a big event overall when you look at the history of Indianapolis and NASCAR. Yes, the Brickyard 400 fell off from where it was back in the 90s and the 2000s. It lost its luster big time, especially after the 2008 tire debacle. But when you look at the way that people came to that race, even when it looked half empty, that's still 150,000 fans showing up to a NASCAR race when the sport is apparently dying. It is also 4 to 6 million people showing up to watch it on TV. Let's not forget that the last time this race was run was in 2020, and while it ran on the 4th of July and it was during COVID, it also had one of the biggest TV ratings hits for NBC in honestly the past 5 or 6 years, ever since Dale Jr. retired. And that's not something that I think is easy to scoff at. How would the racing be, though? That's, I think, the biggest question, because it's great to bring back events. We'll talk about North Wilkesboro in a moment. It's great to bring back events, but if they don't deliver on the hype, there's no point whatsoever. Well, I'm going to tell you this, and this is not me being a NASCAR homer or a shill or anything like that. I actually do have a bit of hope heading into the Brickyard this time compared to the last time that NASCAR raced there. Why is that? Well, maybe not for the Xfinity Series, as it's pretty much the same car, but for the Cup Series, the next-gen car has raced really well at tracks that we'd be surprised by in the Gen 6, COT, and even Gen 4. Those generations of cars did not really race very well at Indianapolis. Yes, they had moments, but generally it was a pretty boring racetrack and event for NASCAR Cup Series racing. But what track races the most similar to Indianapolis Motor Speedway's oval? In my opinion, it's the Pocono Raceway. And if you've looked at the last two Pocono races, I would consider them very good races on a racing product standpoint. Not on crashing, not on craziness, but racing. And they have, because of that great racing, led to amazing and fun and crazy moments. So I think that this race should be given this shot. It is the 30th anniversary. I do expect a lot more people than the last couple Brickyards run with fans to show up. I don't think the place is going to fill up, but I think it's going to be a lot more than people think. And I think that it's going to have a lot of people watching on TV if they market it the way they marketed Chicago and Nashville and Daytona. I don't think that this is a bad idea. Now, as for some other schedule news really quick to close out, there is North Wilkesboro being back as the All-Star race, and they're also bringing back the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. It's going to be the same weekend as it was in 2023, the week before the Coke 600. And it's only going to have one major change, though again, it is very major, and I shouldn't even say only. It's going to be that the track is going to be repaved. Part of the reason, on top of just having a crappy short track package at this race in many people's eyes didn't do well, was because of the aging surface that had visible patch marks all over it. There was no way that this surface was going to race into the future long term, and NASCAR and SMI probably know that they had to do something about it. So I think they're going to bite the bullet, and this is what I've advocated for, bite the bullet while the short track package is bad. That way they can blame that on a repaved track, and by the time, hopefully, in 2025, or unfortunately if it's that long, 2026, that they fix this package, the racing can live up to the hype that North Wilkesboro has been given, and also live up, honestly, to the standard that short track racing and NASCAR should live up to. Short track racing has been awful, and I think that the only reason this track is coming back for the All-Star race is twofold, but it's one, because you might as well strike when the iron is still hot. The event in person was amazing to be at. There was no other atmosphere I have ever been at in a sporting event that was quite like it. And walking up to the truck race, again, the truck race, late, unfortunately, walking up to that and seeing the full grandstands, I felt like I was walking into a time capsule to 1996. It was amazing to see in person, and I implore any fan, no matter the racing product, to go to at least once. But I think that the other reason that this is getting a date is because of how much the North Carolina government has put into it. So we might as well embrace this, as it looks like they have about a decade-long plan ahead of them to make this a huge event and a huge focal point of North Carolina in general. But with that, I'm going to ask you what you think about these schedule leaks, especially the Brickyard now coming out. Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.